Aditya, a very good evening. Hope you're doing good, Aditya. Well, today what we're going to do is talk about study life balance. You know what? Why we are doing this is because a lot of students, I know of two, I know of two type of students. One who studies a lot and does not really look at the rest of the things as important, and some of them who do not know how much to study, when to study, but take life absolutely comfortable. So how do we balance between these two? How do we ensure that we have a defined goal? How do we ensure that we are prioritizing our work is what we are going to do today in the session study life balance. With that quick introduction about myself for all the viewers who are logging in for the first time. I'm Nitin Prabhakar, basically a human resources specialist is what I used to be for 15 years in the corporate world, but for the last 2 years I am a soft skills trainer. I provide behavioral training in corporates, colleges, government organizations, institutions. So that's what I've been doing, and I am with Unacademy as an educator for the last few months. So let's get started. So I had covered this in one of the slides with earlier, and this is a very popular story. A professor walks into a class, and basically he walks in with these four things, which is one is a jar, the other one is a rock, the other one is a pebble, and the other one is a sand. Now he tells the student, he calls one of the students and says, why don't you fill the jar with rock, pebble, and sand? What is the first thing that you're going to fill in? Oh, Aditya, yes, I took a 2 day break. Aditya was a little caught up with some other assignment, so I couldn't really do this. So I'll be there today and tomorrow. And tomorrow, what I'll be doing is how do we read fast? How do we enhance our reading speed? Is what I'll be covering. So it's a very interesting topic. Aditya, study. what I sorry, what I'll be covering today is predominantly on the how do you balance between study and life. Like if you're working, you talk about work-life balance. When you're studying, you talk about study-life balance. Like I said, there are two types of people. One who keeps studying, the other one does not study at all, right? So how do you bring in a semblance between both of it, and then you can manage life better is what I'll be talking about, Aditya. So this particular story is where a professor has called a student and given a jar and given these three items, which is rock, pebble, and sand, and he's supposed to fill in the jar with these three items. What typically would one fill up first? Aditya, if it was you, Shubham. Hello, Shubham. A very good evening. Hope you're doing good, Shubham. Right. The question is, Shubham and Aditya, there's rock, pebble, and sand. You got to fill in these three things into the jar. So what are you going to fill up first? Hi, Rahul. Good evening. So what's the answer? Rahul, Shubham, Aditya. Okay. So this is a very popular one, right? So you must have heard this before. The reason why the student comes in, he fills up the sand first, and then the pebbles, and then the rock. But the sand and the pebble has taken so much of space that there's no space for the rock, and the jar is full right now. So the professor empties the jar, and then now he fills up the rock first, and then the pebbles, and then the sand. And basically he says that what our life is basically to identify what are the biggest rocks. Putting these rocks into the jar is the most important thing. If you don't give space to the rocks first, and if we give a lot of space to the sand or the pebbles, then we will not be able to fit in the rocks. Now these rocks are nothing but the most important elements in our life. If we give space to these elements in our life, only then will we be able to give time for the other things, which is the pebbles and sand. It is important for us to identify what are the biggest rocks in our life. That is why we are saying a balance between study and life is important. How do we identify? Now, according to me, because very good morning, good evening rather, sorry. So because we are studying, we are talking about the study life balance, right? We're like a work life balance. We are talking about the study life balance, right? So we are talking about identifying the most important rocks. According to me, if you ask me, these are the most important rocks for me, which is six, and predominantly for most of them, this is what's going to be. But for you, if it's any different, then you might want to identify these. Prakash, good evening, and welcome to the session. So please take a book, notebook, pad, identify what are your biggest rock, because this will help you determine what's the most important thing for you in life. For example, here, family is very important to me. Self development, this is the time, 21 days of quarantine, and each one of us have a great time. There are two types of people. One who keeps on cribbing that this is not there, that is not there, this is not happening, blah 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 blah. While the other set of people are the ones who make the best out of this time. Identify what we could do. Self development is one thing that we can all work on. Schedule it in a manner that we can utilize this time appropriately. So self development is something that I believe in. So that's why I mentioned self development. Should I prepare for CAT? Prakash, so my academic profile is not good. Should I prepare for CAT? And Aditya, you say studies is my wheel of life only. Only studies is your wheel of life. Then I'm telling you, you'll really get frustrated. You're going to get a little too annoyed with yourself. So it's important for you to ensure that you have your friends, you have your social life, you have your family, you have fun. You got to have fun. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So don't just study. It's important for you to also ensure that you give importance to all of these. I'll tell you why in a bit. All right. Shubham, I gave CAT and other exams. I was unable to get good college. I'm starting again for CAT. What should I do? And plans this time to get IMs. Shubham, all the very best. Prakash, there could be a minimum eligibility for the CAT. In case if you have the minimum eligibility, I think you should give it a shot. Well, if you, that's one of the criteria. If you have the minimum eligibility, give it a shot. If you give it a shot, the reason why I'm saying give it a shot is because what are you going to lose if you are going to give it a try? Nothing, right? If you study, your knowledge is going to get better. If you get through, fantastic. If you don't get through, there are other windows that's going to open your way because you already, prepared for the examination. So when you have learned something, it's going to come to use at some point of time. So don't go with leg on two boats. Should I, shouldn't I? Make a very firm decision and go by it. If your legs on two boat, you will never be able to sail through, and you will never be able to give 100%. So according to me, you should just give it a shot. But if you are convinced that you don't want to do this, you want to get through donation quota, or you would want to do something else, then be very, very clear about it. That's the part of your decision making, right? You got to be absolutely firm with what is that you would want to do in your life. What is that? Am I going to study for CAT right now or not? That's something that you will have to take a decision. If I were in your place, then I would have probably given a CAT exams, right? Shubham, there are a few tips that we're going to talk about right now in order to say how can you plan for your exams. Aditya, you're very sweet, Aditya, to say that. Right. So Aditya, remember, all of these are important, guys. So please ensure that all of you are going to schedule time for each one of these big rocks. I'm going to tell you in a bit as to how can you plan for each of these big rocks, right? Firstly, identify a SMART goal. SMART goal, the first one is be very specific. So for each one of these, my whole goal is, guys, with my parents, I would, I've got a sheet, kg cardboard which is stuck on the back of my cupboard there, and out there I have mentioned all these 6 things, and each one of the 6 things I have a SMART goal. So family, I very clearly have mentioned that with my parents I'm going to spend at least 6 hours in a week. That's roughly around 1 hour every week. They stay close by, so I would go there, spend 1 hour every day, so that it's at least 6 hours a week. That's a very clearly defined goal. Is it specific? It is specific. Is it measurable? Of course it is measurable. Achievable? I want to make it achievable. However busy I am, I think that's the most important. Family is very important to me. Is it relevant? It is absolutely relevant. And is it time bound? Every week 6 hours, so it's time bound. So similarly, SMART. Now I hope all of you understood what's specific, what's measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Now just go back. Do this particular SMART goal for each one of this. Now Aditya, you were saying that you study completely and do nothing much. Even for studies, just have a SMART goal. But when you fit in, let's assume that I'm studying for 12 hours a day. The moment I fit in all of these, it's important for me to be healthy. It's important for me to exercise. So if I'm spending 30 minutes there, I'm going to reduce that from studies. Please, remember that if I'm just going to concentrate on one thing, the rest of it will kind of struggle. Your family life is going to struggle if you're not giving time. If I'm unhealthy, would I be able to give in that energy for studies? Not really. Would I be able to work on my fun and recreation? Not really. This is a wheel of life. What happens in a wheel of life is it goes smoothly only when everything is going smooth. So say for example, you don't have enough money. Would you be motivated to exercise? If you're not motivated to exercise, are you fit enough to study? Are you in a mood to study? If you're not in a mood to study, and if you're not really feeling good, how is your family life? If something is going wrong, everything is going to go wrong, guys. So this is basically all of it is interrelated. So pay a lot of focus for each one of it. All right. Yes, Shubham, I'm going to just talk about them in a bit. Measurable, Ankita. A very good evening, Ankita. Aditya, measurable is nothing but something that can be measured. Say, for example, I want to lose weight. Well, is it measurable? Not really. Instead of which, if I say that from a 78, I want to come to a 76, is that measurable? Of course. I want to study a lot. Is it measurable? No. I want to study one book a week. Is it measurable? Yes. I want to do maths for till I get the best. But what is best? So I would want to study maths for 60 minutes a day. Is it measurable? Yes. Measurable can be with regards to weights, any kind of quantity. It can be in kgs, kilometers, distance, time. All of these are measurable. I hope that makes sense, Aditya. So think of a goal for yourself. Now try and make it measurable. Be extremely specific. Just check if it's achievable. Now when I'm talking about achievable, it should not be skyrocketing, very, very difficult. Say for example, I want to read one book every day. For me, it is not achievable. For me, it's not achievable. For me, one book a week is more achievable. So don't take something which is unachievable. When I'm saying achievable, it also doesn't mean take something which is easy. One book a month. For me, that's extremely easy. So what is challenging is something that I mean by saying achievable. Take something that's relevant. Don't take something which is irrelevant. Say, for example, I want to get from a 76 to 78 to 76. I'm going to start lifting weights. Now, is that relevant? Lifting weights to reducing may not be extremely relevant, so may not be the best example. If I want to stay fitter, I might want to lift weights, but not necessarily to reduce weight. Time bound, each one of it has to have a time bound. Say, for example, one of my trainees had a very clearly set goal, which said that I would want to buy a BMW car by the next year, and he had mentioned that and then posted up on the wall. Then he said, this is what I have on the wall. I said, okay, next year. So the next year when you go there and read it, what will you read it as? I want to buy a BMW the next year. The next year will not change. So you can't say next year or as soon as possible. You need to have a very clearly defined date by 31st of December 2020, by 13th of November 2021. So whatever that date is, you got to mention it so that you got to work towards it. Secondly, always write down your goals. The moment you write down your goals, it's more of a commitment that you're giving to yourself. If you put that in your mind, you might forget it. All right. So this is one thing that I would request you to work towards with regards to SMART goal. And when you're doing a SMART goal, ensure that you do it for all of these 6. All right. So Shubham. Haha, BMW, oh my god, I will also, when I become HR, human resources, yes, Aditya, you must know one thing, like I said, I was a part of human resources. Human resources is a very powerful department. However, the compensation that you get in any of the support functions is lesser than the operations function. The operations function is normally the revenue generating function. Say for example, sales, they bring in business, so it's revenue generating. Operations, they are interacting with the clients, they are into development or they are into call center, so they are getting business. So when they get business, they are revenue generators. Human resources does not get business, and thereby they are considered as the cost center. The moment you are a cost center, the compensation that you get, the height that you get can be a little lesser. Yes, you can definitely buy a BMW if you really go up the ladder, if you develop yourself and then you grow up the ladder very quickly. All right, and if you become an entrepreneur, nothing like it. So major negative topics was RC. What should I do? Shubham, my whole idea is this. I'll just give you an analogy. I don't know if you play badminton. I play badminton and I'm very passionate about badminton. I play at different levels. I play at the club level. I captain my clubs, and so I used to be an average badminton player. My strength was smashes, but my weakness was my backhand. So the moment opponents know that this is my weakness, they always used to target my backhand, and then I always used to give away points. So the possibility for me to win against a good player who knows my weakness is absolutely low, right? I used to lose because of my backhand. And then what I did was, for me to be successful, it's important for me to be good at everything in that particular thing that I've taken. If the moment I have a weakness, then the possibility for me to succeed is low. And that is when I called one of the markers. I said, keep putting it on my backhand. And then I kept on playing, kept on playing, kept on playing. I practiced so much that today I am able to toss from the box of the of my court to the box of the other court, which is considered to be very, very good. And today backhand is one of my biggest strengths. So what we need to do, you could talk about Sindhu, you could talk about Usain Bolt, you could talk about Sachin Tendulkar, Kohli. The moment they have a weak spot, they will be targeted there. For them to succeed, it's going to be very, very difficult. So how do you come out of that is by practicing a lot more on your weaknesses. If RC is your weakness, Shubham, it is important for you to work a lot more on your RC. So when you set your goal, now you exactly know what is the area where you need to work more. So if you're there's also something called as a dislike towards a particular thing. You know what, this subject of mine is something that I dislike, but that's going to add to the overall scores, then I better study more for that particular topic. Similarly, RC, I don't know how interested are you in this, but you need to really work a lot more on this in order to ensure that you are good at it, so that the overall scores come up. Shubham, you don't have a choice but to do that, so might as well give it your 100%. Right, Shubham, I hope that makes sense. Practice makes human being perfect. Totally. HR is not my aim, it's my life. Oh, is it, Aditya? Okay, so you're absolutely passionate about it. Nice to know that. So Aditya, you have my number. In case of any questions with regards to HR, please feel free to reach out to me. Right. Alright, so I hope so far it's good. So Shubham, you had another question in the past. I gave CAT and other exams. I was unable to get through. I am starting again for CAT. What should I do and plans this time to get into IM? Shubham, firstly understand what are the most important things that is required for you to get into IMs. Jot it down. Don't keep it in your mind. Write it down. In order to get there, what are all the things that you need to be doing in the whenever that you have your interviews? So that's the amount of time that you have. Say for example, like XLRI is for HR. Aditya, you're asking me XLRI is for HR. Aditya, I'm really out of touch with regards to the colleges. 2003 is when I passed out, so I'm not really in touch with which college is good for which subjects and stuff like that. So I may not be able to answer that. But Shubham, what I was saying is, now that you know that you're going to give your interviews in the next so many days, so that's the amount of time that you have, which is why planning is the most important thing. So what I'm saying is, I'll come to this in you need to have a checklist. This cousin of mine called me up yesterday and he said, I don't know where to start, where to end. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where to implement. I don't know how much to do. So the first question that I asked him, do you write down the things that you're supposed to be doing? Do you write it down? The question that I have for you is, Shubham, do you write down your list of things that you need to do? This seems like everybody says, or I know it, but are you practicing it? That's my question. This is for everybody. Aditya, Shubham, all of you. Prakash, are you guys doing this? Because Karunesh, Karunesh, hi. I'm so sorry. I didn't see you logged in. I hope you're doing good, Karunesh. Rahul, do you all write down the to-do list for the day? Well, I'm going to wait for your response. Shubham, you do. My whole point is this, Shubham. This is a stepping stone towards your achievement. The moment you're very clear, firstly, let's say that your IIM exam interviews are going to be in the next, say, 4 months, 5 months. So list down all the things that you need to be doing. Number one, in order to get that. Number two, in the next 5 months, what are all the things that you need to work on? Is the next thing that you need to write down. So that becomes your 5 months goal. Now you got to trim it down. If this is my 5 months goal, how is that? What is that I need to be doing in the next 1 month? Again, trim that monthly goal into a weekly goal and a weekly goal into a daily goal. If I need to achieve that in 5 months, today what is that I need to do? Now, a lot of people don't do this. The reason being, thinking is a very tiring process. Do you know? If I play and then come back, I'm physically tired. If I think a lot, I'm mentally tired. So a lot of people don't want to get onto the drawing board and plan their activities. So they don't really do this. So my request is, if you can plan this out, it is definitely going to help you out, because you have a very clearly laid out map. I need to travel from, say, Karnataka to Mumbai. Not now, because we're all quarantined. Ankita, you don't do it, but I'm planning about it. Please do, Ankita. Very, very important. My graduation is not completed. Irrespective of your graduation not being completed or completed, you can start this practice right now, Aditya. Start it right now, so that you can make that as a part of your habit. If I want to travel from Karnataka to Mumbai, I need to have a very clearly laid out roadmap. That's why GPS RS is about. It shows me the route, the nearest route, the closest route, the no traffic zone, and that shows me that that's my destination. The moment I know my destination and how much time it's going to take, it's going to be a lot more clearer than me not knowing how far it is, which route I need to be taking. Will I reach there? Is my accommodation there? I'm not very clear about anything, but I'm working towards it. The possibility of me reaching there in time and possibility of reaching itself is question mark, and if I reach also in time, being there is going to be a big question mark. So it's important for you to break down your bigger chunk of which 5 months goal to a 1 month goal, break it down further into weekly goal and then a daily goal, so you know what are the things that you need to do today. Shubham and everybody else, please plan this planning activity at the end of the day. Every day before you knock down onto your bed, spend 10-15 minutes to plan for your next day. These are the things that I would want to do in the first hour, in the second hour, third hour, fourth hour. If hourly goal is going to be very difficult, break it into 4 different quarters. In the first quarter, I'm going to do this. Second, third, fourth. In these 4 quarters, these are the things that I'm going to do. Ensure that there is some space for family, some space for fun. All of us there. Also, your other core activities is also important. At the end of the day, again, go back and see whether you have achieved all those things. The things that's not completed, you're going to postpone it to the next day. But what's happening, you are keeping a tab. You are keeping a tab as to what are the things that you're doing. Like I already said, Shubham, you might want to concentrate a lot more on RC. If you're absolutely good and you're already prepared for something, then you might want to probably reduce that and increase something that you're not good at. Right? So those are things that you need to do so that you're very clear as to what you need to be doing. And then and at the end of the day, there are 2 things that you're doing. You're going back and checking whether you've done all those things, and then you're also planning your next day. So that is one thing that I'm recommending you to do starting today. Don't say I'm going to start from tomorrow. Start it today, because If you have not been doing it, it's already too late. Get started. Okay. Karunesh, my planning is being. Karunesh, very sweet of you to say that, Karunesh. Very nice of you to say that. Um, Karunesh and Aditya, my English is poor. How to improve? Aditya, I'm going to come to you in a bit. Karunesh, each one of us are gifted, right? I'll tell you what, Karunesh. Don't try to be somebody, be yourself, but have an idol in your mind, right? And follow that idol. For me, Sandeep Maheshwar is somebody whom I idealize. I don't want to be like Sandeep Maheshwari. I want to be myself, but I would look at the tips, tricks, how does he do it, and those are things that I follow, right? Similarly, you might want to have an idol, but be yourself, right? But very sweet of you to say that, Karunesh. Aditya, I've told this in the past, and this is for the benefit of everybody. You'll be surprised to know that till 2001, which is till my graduation, Aditya, I'm going to give you this tip provided you're going to put in your 100% into this, Aditya. Are you ready? Are you willing to give in your 100%? So basically, are you willing to give 30 minutes of your time towards this particular tip for the next 3 months at least, which is 90 days at a stretch, 30 minutes. If you have that time, then Aditya, I'm going to give you this tip. Okay. Aditya, this is where I came from. I don't know if you have heard me say this, but some of you must have heard this. I am basically from Bangalore, and mine was an English medium school, but I always spoke in Kannada because that is the local language, and I had a set of friends who always spoke in Kannada. So, great, Aditya. So, I'll tell you what happened with me. So, I always spoke in Kannada. In my 7th standard, my principal asked a question. 9th standard, my principal asked me a question, and I raised my hand and I wanted to answer that. I stood up and then I was like, I could not frame the sentence. Blah, blah, blue, blue. She said, Nitin, first learn to speak in English and then come and talk to me. Sit down. And then I sat down. I was a little disappointed. My English I could not frame even a single sentence. I went on PUC, then graduation. I had a set of good friends who could speak in English. And then I was wondering what to do. I was finding it very difficult to speak. I used to rehearse sentence in my mind. I used to repeat it, and then go and tell them. So it used to be a disaster. MBA, I went and sat in front of the principal with my father for the, I did not write my CAT or any of the exams. So my father said, please give him a seat, and then we were discussing, and then she saw that my scores were low, my confidence was low, I could not frame a single sentence. She said, I'm so sorry, I can't take him. My father somehow requested, and I felt really bad about it. And then principal said, are you willing to work hard? I said, absolutely, ma'am, give me one chance with whatever broken English. Then she said, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. And then I got a seat in Ames and a very good college. Then finally, that day, I made up my mind that I'm going to give in my 100%, come what may. And I went to one of my lecturers. College started. I went to him and said, sir, I want to work towards my, communication. Can you please help? He was very supportive. So what I used to do is I used to have a chart every day. I used to write down how much of time that I used to spend on my communication. So like all of you have a plan that I would want to study math today, DI today, logical reasoning, quants. So these are things that you plan. But my plan was to succeed in communicating well. So I used to have a chart. There are a few things that I used to do. 3 predominant things. I used to take the newspaper, read it aloud so that I have clarity of thought. I used to fumble for words, blah blah blah. When I was talking, I used to get wrong words, or I used to fumble, stammer. So I started speaking in reading the newspaper aloud. Number 2, I used to stand in front of the mirror and practice talking about anything around the, could be the sky, could be earth, could be water, could be anything around the sky. And then the moment I started getting better, I started speaking about GDP, I started speaking about country, I started speaking about difficult topics. Mirror talk. So that's the second thing. Aditya, so first one, reading the newspaper aloud. Narasimha, hi, rock, pebbles, sand. Perfect. Narasimha, you are absolutely right. But you came in late. So I think you're seeing the recorded version. I'm not very sure. So Narasimha, Aditya, I hope you got the first 2 points. Read the newspaper aloud. Second one is on the mirror talk. Please try and do the mirror talk. The third one that has helped me is, I don't know, it's difficult, but I used to take a local news TV channel. The moment they speak, I used to speak behind them. I used to speak behind them. It's difficult. You lose it, but then again you get back and then speak behind them. So what that does is help you pronounce better, helps you get to a neutral accent. Don't look at the US, UK English channels. Look at Indian English channels so that you get a neutral accent. So these are three things that I did for 180 days. I had to do it for 180 days because my English was very, very poor. I would rate probably a 1 or 2 on a 10. But Aditya, you don't necessarily have to spend 180 days. According to me, if you spend 90 days but add a stretch for roughly around 20 to 30 minutes a day, I'm sure your communication is going to be a lot better. Right, Aditya? These are the 3 tips that I would want to share. Try it out and I can definitely guarantee you that it's going to be good. Right? Aditya, I hope that makes sense. Antonyms and synonyms suggestions, Aditya. Well, antonyms and synonyms, I don't have any specific tips. The way I learned it was dictionary and rehearsing. Even now till date, I take 1 word a week and then learn those weeks just so that I improve my vocabulary. The moment I learn that word, I know the antonyms, I know the synonyms. And that becomes a part of my vocabulary. So I use that word so many times in that week that it becomes a part of my vocabulary. In a year's time, I know at least 48 to 50 new words. So I learn 1 new word a week. So that can also help you improve your vocabulary. Your antonyms and synonyms is one thing that you could do. 1 word, 1 antonym and synonym a week is something that you could do. Right. Did I miss out anything? Aditya, even your principal said the same thing. We are on the same boat. All right. Great. So I'm going to. All right, great, Aditya. So to-do list, please follow this. I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'm going to, skip this, which is chemicals. There are a few things that I would want to recommend to each one of you guys. Karunesh, I was telling Aditya that we are on the same boat because Aditya said even his principal also said the same thing that my principal did. So Aditya and I are on the same boat. Oh yeah, I was in HR and Aditya also wants to be in HR. So yeah, we both are on the same boat from that standpoint too. Yes. So these are 4 chemicals that gets released. So I'm going to, for now, ignore this because of the interest of time. There are a few things that I want to talk about when I'm talking about study and life balance. People are working, then it's work-life balance, but study-life balance. A lot of people sleep too much. A lot of people sleep too less. So there are a few things that I want to say as to how do you sleep well, how do you wake up well. Important. Meal time and sleep time. Please ensure that this is the same time always. It needs to be. There needs to be a rhythm. So if I sleep at 10 o'clock every day, I sleep at 10 o'clock every day. If I sleep at 12 o'clock every day, it's 12 o'clock every day. So have a routine. Have a routine set and ensure that you maintain the routine. Meals also ensure that you eat at the same time. It has multiple benefits. Right? Take a shower, especially in the evenings. If you take mornings, of course, you take a shower. In the evening, when you take a shower, it helps you reduce a lot of stress. All the things that has happened from day to evening, we are all tired physically and mentally. The moment the water falls on your head, it gives you a lot of relief. And it's science. Science says that the moment water hits your head, it gives you a lot of stress relief. So that really helps. So every time that you take a shower before in the evening, that helps you. Don't sleep with the head on the north. Aditya, I typically sleep at 10 o'clock, but for the last 1 week or so, it's kind of my routine has gone for a toss. But always it's 10 o'clock in the night I sleep. I wake up at 5 o'clock, 4:45, 5 in the morning. When I wake up, I ensure that for the first 1.5 hours, I don't check my mobile phones because that's my high energy time. So when I wake up, I quickly freshen up and then I do the most important thing for me, which could be reading a book, which could be exercising, working on something that's important because my mind is fresh. I get great thoughts, good ideas. So that's the most productive time for me. Identify what's the most productive time for you. What is it? So if you're waking up 10 o'clock, of course, there's a huge difference when I wake up at 10 o'clock or when I wake up at 5 o'clock. I'm so active when I wake up at 5 o'clock. So what is the most productive time for you is something that you need to figure out. So sleep 1 or 2 a.m. I think. Karunesh, I sleep at 1 or 2 a.m. No, 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 no. 1 or 2 a.m. is very, very rare, but otherwise, most often than not, 10 o'clock. Only if I'm out with friends and stuff like that, it goes late. Otherwise, it's always 10 o'clock. I'm on the bed, so in 10-15 minutes, I kind of wrap up. Okay. No, 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 Karunesh. 10. Don't sleep with head on the north. The reason is north basically it's the gravitational pull. It takes away a lot of your blood to the head, to the brain, so it's not really good for your health. So don't sleep to the north. Keeping things aside, a lot of people go with their mobile phones, watch the YouTube, and then sleep off. Please keep everything aside. When you sleep, you got to be at peace, absolute peace. So keep that aside, and then close your eyes with no thoughts. You have taken a shower 1 hour back, and then you keep the phone away, then go to sleep. That is so much more peaceful than having a mobile phone with you. Sleep for 7 to 8 hours a day. It is told that it absolutely differs from individual to individual. If some of you think 6 hours is good for you, so be it. If some of you think 7 hours or 8 hours is good for it, so wait. Sadhguru very beautifully says that don't sleep too much. Don't sleep too much, because after we die, we have a lot of time to sleep. So, ideally it's recommended anything between 6 to 8 hours. When you wake up at the same time, and don't wake up to an alarm. If you wake up every day at the same time over a week or two, you don't need an alarm. So you wake up fresh the more at the same time every day. Rub your hand, because this gives you a lot of positive energy. If you have ever done yoga, Karnish, okay, are we connected on Facebook, Karnish? I didn't know that. Or maybe on WhatsApp. WhatsApp also I've uploaded some of the exercises. Yeah, I do exercises and I love to exercise. When you exercise, there's a chemical that gets released which is called as dopamine. The moment dopamine release, you feel so energetic. You have any thoughts, any ideas, that's a time for you to sit through, because you will get the best of ideas when you exercise. When you sweat out, there are two advantages. When dopamine gets released, you feel happy, and secondly, your mind is so fresh that you get great ideas, right? So when you rub your hand, there's a lot of energy that flows. If you've ever done yoga, what they do is they rub, and then you're supposed to wipe it all over yourself, just so that the energy passes. So there's a lot of positive energy when you wipe your hand. Wake up from the right side. It is told that it's Subh Sakun and stuff like that, the good omens, but it's not that. Because your heart is tilted a little to the left, and it's not working at the best when you're sleeping. So move to the right, and then the blood starts circulating, and then get up from the right. That is what's recommended, so that it's good for the heart, and not because it's good omen and stuff like that. Aditya, you're a big... Raj, Sonu, hi. Are you logging in now, Raj? So do you guys all know each other? Okay. Aditya is extremely sweet. Alright, so I guess all of you are connected with each other. Great. Smile when you wake up. Now this is a very funny tip, but you know what? I heard this from somebody and I started doing this. Archil saying hello, a very good evening. We're almost in the fag end of the closure of the session, Archil. Smile when you wake up. Now this is a very funny thing. I wake up and then I give a smile because I heard it from somebody that there are a couple of benefits. One is you're starting with the day smiling, and when we are sleeping, roughly around 1 lakh of people die, and it's also a nice thing to know that we are awake, right? So smile, and then it also gives you an exercise to the chin, the face, facial muscles, because it's been resting. One day I wake up and then I give a smile, and my son is watching me smiling with myself in the mirror, and he's wondering what's happening. So it's very difficult for you to explain if somebody is watching you smile, but that's a great way to start, right? It is also told that start with gratitude, thank everybody, from within your heart. Could be anything for that matter. The earth that takes your weight, your parents for supporting you, your friends who are around you. All of these people are you could thank in your mind for being around with you. So these are good ways to start. Now, why am I talking about all these things is because it's important for you to ensure that it is just not about studies at this particular point of time. There's more than studies to your life. So please ensure that you give importance to all of those bigger rocks which we spoke about, and it's not just one thing. Ensure that you grease everything, or everything is well oiled so that your life goes smoothly. This is not just a tip at this particular point of time. Even when you get to your work, you just don't focus on your career. People give it 12, 14, 15, 16 hours for work and nothing back home, not for health. And what happens? Your health is not good. You can't work well. If you don't work well, there's no job, there's no money. So it is going to be a vicious cycle. So don't get into that cycle, and practice some of the good habits right now so that that becomes your lifestyle going forward. All right. All right. What's happening? Aditya messaged me to see your video. Okay. Which video was it? I think this is exercise video, I'm guessing. All right. Okay. In the interest of time, guys, so I'm going to wind up. Any other questions that you have while you have? Thank you, Aditya. Thank you so much. You guys make my day, guys. Such nice comments. Feels good. Thanks, guys. If there's any questions, bring it up. In the meanwhile, let me tell you that if you've learned anything new, if you've liked what you've heard, please give it a thumbs up, share this video, follow me on Unacademy, use my referral code, join the Plus program. That's the referral code that you see there, Nitin PKR-4915, to avail a 10% discount on the Plus program. Sure, Aditya, I don't, can you guys share your numbers, or let me put my number. I have Aditya's number. Can you, this is my number, please give in your number. I don't have a group right now. I'm going to start forming, so there will be very few members in the WhatsApp group, but let's start building that. Okay. All right. Guess there are no other questions. So, alright guys, so let me sign out. I've already taken 15 more minutes than I had anticipated. Thanks all of you for joining. Have a lovely evening, guys. Take care of yourselves. See you people, and I'm gonna add you guys. Okay, Aditya, see you. Take care. See you everybody. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow what I'm going to talk about is how do you read faster is something that I'm going to cover. So we'll see you there. Till then, take care guys. Bye.